evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's begin with the day's top stories. With emphasis on neighbourhood first policy, Prime Minister Modi to visit Maldives and Sri Lanka on 8th and 9th of June. No bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and his Pakistani counterpart Imran Khan on the sidelines of the SCO summit in Kyrgyzstan. Prime Minister Modi approves reconstitution of Niti Aayog, Rajiv Kumar to remain Vice Chairman, Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman and Narendra Singh Tomar to be ex officio members. Home and auto loans to get cheaper as RBI cuts key lending rate by 25 basis points. Repo rate now at 5.75% after third straight interest rate cut. Removes charges on RTGS and NEFT transactions. Also sets up committee to review ATM charges. Reduce dependency on subsidies and grants. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal tells representatives of industry, trade and exports bodies, stresses on making industry and production more competitive and self-reliant. Swachh Surveillation League 2020 launched from New Delhi. Focus will be on waste management. Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri says league to be conducted in 3 quarters for better results. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a 2-day visit to Maldives and Sri Lanka on Saturday, his first foreign visit after assuming power for the second term as Prime Minister. During his 2-day visit to both these countries, Prime Minister Modi will hold extensive discussions with presidents of both countries and also the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka on ways to boost ties between both countries. Here's a look at the Prime Minister's upcoming tour. In the first leg of his 2-nation tour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Malé, the capital of Maldives. He will hold summit-level meeting with Maldivian President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih. He will also address Maldives Parliament, known as People's Majlis, and meet former President Mohamed Nasheed.
There will be a meeting with President Solih. The two leaders will jointly inaugurate remotely 2 of the completed projects that we have done. There will be meetings with the Vice President, Mr. Naseem, the Speaker, Mr. Nasheed, and leaders of some of the political parties. And as you know, the Prime Minister has been invited by the Majlis to address the Majlis, which he will also be doing on the 8th of June.
In Malé, both sides are expected to sign agreements to further consolidate the relationship between the two countries, which got derailed during Abdullah Yassin's presidency. The agreements will aim at providing assistance to Maldives.
The Prime Minister's visit is essentially focused on 3 objectives. Firstly, it is to maintain contacts at the highest level between close neighbours. Secondly, we want to assist the Maldives as their development partner in the revival and development of their economy. And thirdly, of course, is to strengthen the people-to-people relationship we have with the Maldives.
After Maldives, Prime Minister Modi will reach Sri Lankan capital Colombo on Sunday. There, he will hold a summit meeting with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and hold talks with President Maithripala Sirisena. The talks are expected to focus on combating terrorism and development issues. He is also scheduled to address a gathering of Indians living in Sri Lanka.
Have talks with President Sirisena, with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. He will meet the leader of the opposition, Mahinda Rajapaksa, and he will also have meetings with Mr. Sambandhan, who heads the TNA, the Tamil parties. And obviously, although the visit will be short, there will be a review of the relationship and identification of how we move ahead.
Both Maldives and Sri Lanka are immensely important to India's strategic needs in the Indo-Pacific region. During his tour, Prime Minister Modi will renew his commitment towards enhanced support to both these countries.
There are lots of similarities between people of India, Maldives and Sri Lanka, and there are lots of economic interdependencies too. Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to consolidate on this relationship given the fact that there are favorable governments in both the countries. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Television with camera person DK Pandey in Malé of Maldives.
And ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Sri Lanka, Austin Fernando, the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka in India, spoke exclusively to Rajya Sabha TV. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
I am joined by the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka in India, Mr. Austin Fernando. Welcome to RSTV, sir. Sir, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is going to Colombo. What do you think will be main on agenda?
Sri Lanka and India had been having long-standing relationships with each other in several areas. We have been working together on economic affairs, cultural affairs, security affairs, and like that, and even in media affairs we have been working together as two countries. So these are the issues which will be on the table between any two heads of states who will heads of states or heads of governments who will sit together to discuss. So therefore, since I am in Delhi and I am unable to comment about or predict about the agenda to be very very firm on it, I must say that between two countries, these are the issues that may have to be discussed. And in the background we have certain events that had preceded. For example, we have the terrorist attack that happened in Colombo and other areas in Sri Lanka, in several areas. So that is very recent, and therefore it will call for attention between the two countries, because you are also affected by terrorist attacks. So there are certain commonalities on this, and for that matter, that particular event had been told to us by the Indian intelligence people, according to all the reportings we received. So therefore, there could be certain areas where they can be working together if they really want to. So that may be one area. And then we had the memorandum of understanding that had been signed some time back. And there were certain items in the agenda for development purposes under Indian assistance. So those are things which I presume any head of state or head of government would like to be followed up when we meet another head of state. So like that we can consider so many things as projections, and I can't tell you exactly what would be, and all what I said may not be there sometimes. That's a matter of concern for those people.
And for more on that story, let's go across to my Foreign Affairs editor, Akhilesh Suman, who's joining us on the phone line from Malé in Maldives. He's going to be extensively covering the Prime Minister's trip abroad to Maldives. Akhilesh, good evening. Help us understand the significance of why Maldives has been chosen as the first destination for Prime Minister Modi's maiden foreign visit in the second term.
If you remember, in the first term also in 2014, Prime Minister went to Bhutan first.
Yes.
And Bhutan became, the hotspot for Indian foreign policy. That in the same way, Maldives is also the same situation. Maldives is our, immediate neighbor in the sea. And Maldives is also in the same situation, that in Maldives, Sri Lanka, they are very important for Indo-Pacific strategy. And, Maldives and Sri Lanka also have been, the way they have been in, debt trap for a long time from the Chinese side. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chose that secure the neighborhood, secure the neighborhood not just means securing by weapons, but also enabling them to fulfill their own needs. And that is why Prime Minister chose that Maldives, which is one of the excellent tourist spot in the Indo-Pacific, needs some help from India, and I hope that in this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is going to extend some good amount of line of credit to Maldives to fulfill the needs of people of Maldives. The whole focus is how to develop the neighboring countries so that they don't fall into debt trap and they don't fall into the strategic needs of rival countries. So I think this was the major thing why Prime Minister Narendra Modi chose Maldives and Sri Lanka in this visit, Tina.
Of course, so for India, neighborhood first policy is paramount. Akhilesh, also share with us what is going to be the focus of the Prime Minister's visit to our immediate neighbor Sri Lanka. The president of which country, in fact, he was present at Prime Minister's swearing-in ceremony as well.
Sri Lanka, if you remember, Sri Lanka has been victim of terrorism just recently, and there have been so many bomb blasts, and people associated with those bomb blasts belong to ISIS. And that ISIS reaching the Sri Lankan, capital is one of the shocking, news for all of the South Asian countries. And that is going to become one of the major talking points, how to secure the sea lanes so that the radical elements, fundamentalist elements, and terrorist elements don't reach there. And the way we have connectivity with Sri Lanka in the sea lanes, Sri Lanka is very important for us from security point of view, also from economic point of view. So terrorism is going to one of the major issues that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will talk to Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and President Maithripala Sirisena. But other than that, economic relations between India and Sri Lanka is also very important. The way India has helped Sri Lanka in creating infrastructure, both railways, roadways, and also creating, enabling environment for investment and also creating infrastructure for, education. In that way, I think also, that India has helped Sri Lanka in providing houses to so many Tamil people who had been affected by extremism and terrorism by Lite. So in that way, terrorism, economic development, economic cooperation are going to be also some of the major talking points between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and also President Maithripala Sirisena,
Indeed, Akhilesh. Thank you very much. We'll keep coming back to you when the Prime Minister visits Maldives on the 8th of June. Moving on in the bulletin, the External Affairs Ministry clarified on Thursday that there will be no bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Pakistani counterpart Imran Khan on the sidelines of the SCO summit. Prime Minister Modi would be attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Kyrgyzstan's capital Bishkek on 13th and 14th of June.
To the best of my knowledge, there is no bilateral meeting being planned between Prime Minister and Prime Minister of Pakistan on the sidelines of the SCO summit.
An External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will embark on a two-day visit to Bhutan on Friday. This will be his first overseas trip after assuming charge of the ministry. In Bhutan, the External Affairs Minister is scheduled to call on Bhutanese Prime Minister Lotay Tshering. He will also meet his counterpart Tandi Dorji.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be visiting Bhutan from 7th, 8th June 2019. This will be External Affairs Minister's first visit abroad as EAM, and it reflects the importance that India attaches to its bilateral relationship with Bhutan, a close friend and a neighbor. During the visit, Honorable Minister is expected to receive audience with His Majesty the King. He will call on Leonchen Dr. Lotay Tshering, Prime Minister of Bhutan, and also meet his counterpart, Lempo Dr. Tandi Dorji, Foreign Minister of Bhutan. The visit of EAM to Bhutan is in keeping with the tradition of regular exchange of visits and views at the highest level between India and Bhutan.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday approved reconstitution of policy think tank Niti Aayog. Rajiv Kumar has been renamed its vice chairman. Home Minister Amit Shah has been appointed as ex officio member. Besides Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar will also be ex officio members. Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, Commerce and Industry and Railway Minister Piyush Goyal, Social Justice Minister Thawar Chand Gehlot and Statistics Minister Rao Inderjeet Singh will be special invitees to the panel. Current members of the panel, V.K. Saraswat, Ramesh Chand and V.K. Paul have also been renamed. The Reserve Bank of India on Thursday slashed interest rates by 25 basis points for the third time in a row. It also changed its stance from neutral to accommodative. The central bank has cut the GDP growth forecast for 2019-20 from 7.2% in the April policy to 7%. The Apex Bank also decided to remove charges on RTGS and NEFT transactions.
The RBI Monetary Panel has paved way for a possible reduction in the EMIs of your housing and car loans. In its second bi-monthly monetary policy meet, the RBI reduced repo rate by 0.25% to 5.75%. The repo rate is the rate at which the Reserve Bank of India lends short-term money to the banks. Consequently, the reverse repo rate, the rate at which the central bank borrows money from commercial banks, now stands at 5.5%. It also revised the retail inflation forecast to 3 to 3.1% for the first half of the fiscal 2019-20 and 3.4 to 3.7% for the second half. The Apex Bank also changed its stance from neutral to accommodative, suggesting it stands ready to cut rates further if economic conditions warrant it.
During June 3rd and 4th, 2019, the Monetary Policy Committee assessed the recent macroeconomic developments and the outlook in its meeting today. It voted unanimously to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points. So we had discussions on June 3rd and 4th, and then again we sort of took the decision today, and the decision this time has been unanimous.
The RBI maintained that there was a scope to reinvigorate private investment activity and assured a faster and higher transmission by commercial banks to pass on the benefit of lower interest rates to their customers. Corporate India has hailed RBI's decision.
After you have reposed liquidity and the demand rises and capacity utilization gets fulfilled, automatically more investments will take place.
The RBI has also decided to do away with charges on fund transfers through RTGS and NEFT routes to boost digital transactions. The RTGS is meant for large value fund transfers, while the NEFT system is used for fund transfers up to 2 lakh rupees. The central bank has also announced that it has set up a committee to look into ATM charges and fees, which will submit its recommendations within 2 months of its first meeting. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal addressed a high-level joint meeting of the Board of Trade and Council of Trade Development and Promotion. He urged the representatives of the industry, trade and exports bodies to reduce dependency on subsidies and grants from the central government. He called upon them to strive and make industry and production more competitive and self-reliant. The Commerce Minister said that when subsidies have been done away with, businesses grew. The meeting was attended by ministers and officials from several ministries and Niti Aayog.
National aspirations call for a greater thrust, and which is why I thought it's important that both the Board of Trade and the Council for Trade Development and Promotion meet together. Meeting separately the industry and meeting separately the states will possibly not give us the kind of outcomes that synergy between the two departments can give us, or between the two sets of persons and different stakeholders can give to the potential outcomes.
Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar said on Thursday that the air quality in the Delhi NCR region has improved. He said that the number of days with bad air quality have come down by 33% in 2018 as compared to 2014. Speaking at an event to mark the World Environment Day, which was on the 5th of June, Prakash Javadekar called for people's participation, adding that every individual has to act responsibly towards the environment.
दुनिया प्रदूषण के मसले को ये जो चैलेंज है इसको मीट करने के लिए हम सभी काम करना है और इसलिए एक यूनाइटेड नेशन लेड ग्लोबल क्लाइमेट एंड क्लीन एयर कोएलिशन बन रहा है तो भारत उसका हिस्सा होगा और वो निश्चित रूप से एक अच्छा काम करके दिखाएगा.
The Environment Minister also said that the vehicular pollution, which is 28 to 30% of air pollution, will be reduced drastically after the implementation of Bharat State's 6 emission norms from next year onwards. He added that the BS6 norms compliant vehicles will be available in the country from 2020. Javadekar underscored that over 60,000 crore rupees have been invested in this direction.
2020 से BS6 ये फ्यूल मिलने लगेगा और BS6 कंप्लायंट व्हीकल्स भी तैयार होने लगेंगे. इसके लिए बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ी लेकिन ये कमिटमेंट थी.
The government launched the Swachh Surveillation 2020 League in the national capital on Thursday. The league will be a quarterly cleanliness assessment of cities and towns in India and will be integrated with the Swachh Surveillation 2020. Parameters pertaining to wastewater treatment and reuse and fecal sludge management have been given special focus in Swachh Surveillation 2020 League.
Translating itself into
Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri launched the Swachh Surveillation 2020 League on Thursday. Swachh Surveillation League 2020 will be a quarterly cleanliness assessment of cities and towns in India. It will be integrated with Swachh Surveillation 2020, the 5th edition of the annual Cleanliness Survey of Urban India, to be conducted between January to February 2020. The objective of the Swachh Surveillation Survey is to encourage large-scale citizen participation, ensure sustainability of initiatives taken towards garbage-free and open defecation-free cities, and provide credible outcomes validated by third-party certification. Additionally, the survey also intends to foster a spirit of healthy competition among towns and cities to improve their service delivery to citizens towards creating cleaner cities.
This is a program which was started, as I said, amidst some cynicism. We are not only completing it, but we are taking it to the next level, where wastewater, fecal sludge, and I think we will have to, in a futuristic version of this program, look at how we deal with water, air, and our general system from a sustainability point of view.
In order to pay a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi on his 150th birth anniversary, India has pledged to become open defecation-free and clean by 2nd October 2019. The survey is under the mandate of the Swachh Bharat mission launched on 2nd October 2014. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Preparations for the 7th economic census have begun. A workshop for state-level training of trainers for Delhi region was held on Thursday in the national capital. Hundreds of trainers from the Delhi region participated in the session. Speaking on the occasion, Director General, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Jyotirmay Poddar said, maintaining the data quality will be the topmost priority of the ministry for the census. He also informed that since the common service centers are being partnered in the census for the first time, providing quality training to the workforce is the responsibility of the ministry so that data collected by them is effective and of better quality. The training program for state-level trainers in Karnataka, Kerala and Goa will be held on Friday, while for Madhya Pradesh, it will be held on the 10th of June.
Both the husband and wife are working, so they may not be available during the... So there is a provision.
This time we have taken a lot of initiative, lot of extra effort to ensure that the quality is maintained. So this is the first time CSC is associated in a data collection process, which is new for them. So it is our effort and responsibility to train them properly.
4 days on, but there's been no trace of the Indian Air Force AN-32 aircraft that went missing in Arunachal Pradesh. According to news reports, residents of a village in Arunachal Pradesh saw thick black smoke billowing from a mountain on Monday, the day the aircraft carrying 13 people went missing. The claim is being verified by the authorities. Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu has directed Deputy Commissioners of Siang, West Siang, Lower Siang and Xiaomi districts to intensify the search operation. 3 teams have been formed to carry out searches in as many mountain ranges on the aircraft's route. Alongside, a joint effort by the civil police, army and the Air Force is also in force to search the crashed location in an area of about 2,500 square kilometers under Kaing and Payum circles of Siang district. US President Donald Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, British Prime Minister Theresa May paid homage to veterans at D-Day's 75th anniversary celebrations in Normandy. The D-Day landings were the most vital part of the greater Operation Overlord to liberate Europe from years of German military occupation. In 1944, more than 1.5 million soldiers from Allied countries attacked Normandy, which was under Hitler. 77 days after the Normandy attack, Nazi army was defeated. And that's it from us in this news bulletin. Thank you for your time.